Why is the Temple of Jerusalem so important? When Moses brought the Israelites out of Egypt during the Exodus, a tabernacle was built per God's instructions. The tabernacle was a portable tent that served as a temple for the people and a housing for God as they traveled in the wilderness. The courtyard outside the tabernacle held an altar, and the utensils needed to sacrifice livestock and make burnt offerings to God to atone for sin temporarily. The shedding of innocent blood was God's requirement for the atonement of man's sin. God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus are spirits without human blood. So later, God sent his Son to become a human so that the shedding of his blood could be the ultimate sacrifice to atone for all of mankind's sins, past, present, and future. A golden ark, the Ark of the Covenant, was also built as the seat of God. It was placed in the back area of the tent, which was called the Holy of Holies. A curtain divided the Holy of Holies from the rest of the tabernacle, and only a high priest was allowed to enter once a year. Later, when King David was on the throne in Jerusalem, he decided to build a permanent temple to replace the tabernacle. God did not allow David to build the temple because of his past sins. So David's son, King Solomon, built the first temple in Jerusalem. The Ark of the Covenant was placed in the Holy of Holies, as it was in the tabernacle. The temple was built on the top of Mount Moriah, over the rock where Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son, Isaac, when God tested his faithfulness. The Muslims believe it was Ishmael that Abraham offered as a sacrifice, and the rock was also the spot where Muhammad ascended to heaven on a night journey. Jewish tradition says that Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, was where God created the world and laid the foundation stone. Other traditions say that Mount Moriah was where God created Adam and where he was buried. So the Temple Mount is a sacred place for Christians, Jews, and Muslims. This spot of land has been the cause of fighting between these three religions throughout history. In 586 BC, Nebuchadnezzar II, the king of Babylon, destroyed Solomon's temple during his siege of Jerusalem, and he exiled the Jews to Babylon. In 515 BC, the second temple was completed after Cyrus the Great of the Medes, and the Persian Empire overtook Babylon and released the Jews. Cyrus supplied building materials for the second temple. Around 20 BC, King Herod the Great improved the temple and enlarged the Temple Mount. In 70 AD, Titus of Rome destroyed the second temple, stopping temple sacrifices. In 685 AD, the Islamic shrine, the Dome of the Rock, was built over the spot where the first two Jewish temples once stood. Bible prophecy says that in the last days, the Antichrist will take over the Jewish temple and place his image there, so all would worship the image. The Jews only recognize the Old Testament, and they do not accept Jesus as the Messiah. They know that according to Bible prophecy, the temple will have to exist before the coming of the Messiah, the second coming of Jesus per Christian belief and the teaching of the New Testament. So the Jews believe that they must rebuild the temple to usher in their true Messiah. As of this writing, all the utensils, an altar for sacrifice, and the red heifers used in the traditional sacrifice are ready for use, and the temple plans are complete. The red heifers were bred in Texas for this special purpose. The holdup now is how to remove the Muslim Dome of the Rock so the Jewish temple can be built on its original sacred spot. This alone could trigger World War III, perhaps the war of Gog and Magog. We should all pay close attention to what is happening in Israel, and we should pray for the peace of Jerusalem, Psalm 122:6. Please watch this video to learn more about the third temple and the red heifer.